hydration drink that
Mhm.
founder and CEO of O2, the recovering hydration drink that is this year's CrossFit Games sponsor.
So now, how do you get into the business of sponsoring the games? What does that entail?
It entails a lot. Where do you want to start? I think that the CrossFit Games have historically done a pretty good job of working with, the top brands in the space, with one or two glaring exceptions that we can choose not to name on this podcast.
Oh no, go ahead and name those.
You can name whatever you want, Dave. Like, it's okay.
I want to hear this.
Well, what would your guess be?
Of podcasts or of like sponsors that they didn't do well with, or that
great fit for the space.
Oh, Monster.
Well, Monster is definitely the first one.
Yeah, I 100% was like,
so barring, outside of that giant example, that's not a good one. I think CrossFit's done a really good job historically.
I want to know what the other one is.
That was the only one I had in mind, really.
Oh, okay. I thought you said one or two.
I did say one or two. If I said one, it would have been too easy.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead, and as somebody who's currently serving, the United States Army needs to come the fuck off that competition for it too.
Yeah, quickly.
They don't deserve a goddamn spot on that for.
Not right now.
Tell me more, because now you've piqued my curiosity.
Yeah, well, not right
now.
So
being somebody who's in the Army, and I love serving, I love the Army, I love everything about the purpose behind it. Mm-hmm. But the Army and the military, as many civilians, I guess, could say, especially by the determination of what our national debt is, the military tends to spend money in ways that don't, like 5-10 years later after they've spent the money, you're kind of like, well, that we could have done more research, something, gotten better out of it. So I mean, I think like oftentimes, like we'll spend money on equipment and vehicles, and then 2 months later, those same vehicles are completely shot, broken, not in service, just absolutely. But it's a $5 million truck.
Right.
We can't.
It's just a $5 million truck.
It's too big to fail. Like, we have to get it fixed.
Yeah.
So it didn't surprise me a couple of years ago when the Army came out with their Warrior Fitness team. That was like, okay, they're going to dive into CrossFit. They're going to try to delve in the space. They're changing to the combat fitness test. They're going to. What is going on?
It crashed for a second. It's fine.
Oh, Jesus.
I had a problem.
So,
it's fine.
When they partnered with CrossFit, and now like service members can get their level 1, level 2 for free, that's huge. That's incredible. If that's what all this money on the competition for gets us, then I kind of see something. Yeah. But it looks to me, again, like the United States Army took a shit ton of money, handed it to CrossFit to put their name on a competition for, but they fielded the Army's Warrior Fitness team and haven't done anything with it. So all they look like is another sponsor of an event that has a big military-esque background, right, but we haven't produced anything.
Yeah.
So personally, I think somebody else, like there could be a Fit Aid or one of those other like background companies, Airwave, whatever, give them a shot at doing that. Instead, the Army's just kind of like, oh, here's government money that we just have as funding that if we don't spend, we lose. So I'm just going to give it to you so that we've spent it for the year. And if it just gets our name on the floor a couple of times, which in fact, it got them there many a times.
Yeah.
It's not that I see it as a waste of money. I see it as they haven't earned their right to be there, in my opinion.
They haven't produced, like, that's my issue. They haven't produced any athletes except for Jacob Pfaff and Chandler. Chandler's out of the military now. Jacob is kind of,
he's almost out of the CrossFit Games now.
Yeah, he's close. That's when I saw Chandler had that when I saw Chandler get done with the first workout and he looked like he was dying, like he couldn't breathe, I was like, something's wrong. Like something's going on. But
because he didn't have any O2.
Yeah, I wish I had.
Come on, man. What are we doing here?
But yeah, but it's kind of like you earn that spot. You have a good product. Noble has a decent product. I don't like Noble shoes. It's just my own.
But I mean, Noble was in the space for what, 3-4 years?
I think Noble launched around the same time we did, actually. So they've been in the space for a while.
And they had good representative athletes.
Yeah.
Like they weren't the cream of the crop, but they were the influential ones.
Noble stuff. I say that not because I I have to, but because I've been wearing their shoes forever. The reason I like, I'm not like an elite level athlete, so when I go to the gym, I'm more concerned about how cool my shoes look versus what the drop is on them. But I'll travel a good amount for work, and it's nice to be able to just take one pair of shoes. And I always take Nobles because you can wear them inside the gym, you can wear them outside the gym. The Army thing is interesting. Ken, are you military as well?
Oh, I got out in October. I was in for 12 years. I wish they had this thing when I was in.
So you're fresh out, man.
Yeah.
I wasn't, I have zero exposure into that contract or that sponsorship. So take my word with a very large grain of salt. But when I saw that CrossFit's now doing what I interpreted as like free L1s and L2s for Army members, that I would have to imagine that's linked to the sponsorship in some
most likely, yeah.
So hopefully whoever was at the negotiating table, with Army, push that through. And I think it's a great thing for CrossFit too. I think it's a great thing for everybody.
Yeah, it's mutually beneficial.
It does.
Speaking of getting out, I have a job right now, Dave, but I
What are you
also
doing?
I'm an engineer right now.
Nice.
So yeah, I do renewable energy for the Department of Energy.
Okay.
And
I don't know what that means, but it sounds important.
it's boring as heck.
It means it gets paid a lot.
I get paid, but I also applied for your VP of marketing position this morning. So there we go. I just dropped my hat in the bucket there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a conflict of interest all of a sudden.
Well,
We need to kick Ken off this podcast.
I've never had an engineer as a marketing guy before.
It's funny because I do all the marketing for this podcast, and it's the
Whoa.
same thing.
Hey, now you cannot say you do all the marketing for this podcast. My big mouth is the one that does the other quarter.
Yeah, Steve's the pretty face and the lips.
And the big ass fucking mouth that says a lot of shit.
That's what hence the lips.
Ken's the guys behind pulling the puppet strings. I see.
Well, good thing he said puppet strings and he didn't say that he was my ventriloquist. I don't want Ken's hand anywhere near my ass.
That's an image that I don't think anyone needs.
Oh God.
Unfortunately, it's probably the one they got, but it's not the one they needed.
What made you guys start a podcast?
Oof.
He messaged me.
I want to say it was back in like February or something like that. And I was watching either somebody's podcast or I was watching a YouTube video of somebody. And we just started exchanging thoughts on whatever the topic was. I forget. And we were like, nobody really talks about any of this shit. And then nobody really, even when they do talk about it on like the few CrossFit podcasts that there have been.
Yep.
I think that a lot of people just try to be nice and coy. But I think one of the things this sport is missing is somebody who's willing to either say how it is or just say how they feel, even if it is not, I don't want to say demonstrably going to come off as like negative or like, oh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about, but like stir the pot a little bit.
Make it real black and white. So
yeah, see, there you go. See,
yeah. And then we came up with the name because he's black, I'm white. We talk about a lot of different issues. We've talked about military things, political things. We've talked about buddies going to the Army Warrior Fitness Team. We've talked about inclusivity in the sport. What else have we talked about? Football. We talked about major sports.
All that. Everything. We had a quarterback on once. That was Steve's high school friend, Tim Boyle.
Yeah, he plays for the Lions. Even our first podcast with the Fittest Doc, that guy was very knowledgeable, gave a lot of stuff to a lot of people that were listening.
Yeah, he's another Columbus guy.
Yeah.
So then, once the podcast started, the reason to continue is we just started finding ways to connect other people and then connect ourselves with them. Yeah. And then we talked to Jim Hensel from Mayhem and got in with a couple of those athletes, hopefully to have some of the rest ones on. Then it just became fun. Like,
cross your fingers.
Doing this, there's not a group, I think, in the space yet that necessarily turns this into like something where you can come on like whether it's like promote yourself and what you're doing as an athlete, or just like some of them are doing incredible things on the side. And we even have normal average people from like my gym that are just 9 to 5ers and happen to be a pharmacist or happen to work in a hospital and that kind of stuff. You know, we have a recruiting buddy of mine that came on. And once you start having like normal, regular people on that can tell incredible stories or just tell their story, people like to listen to it. So
Yeah.
I've always felt like, so John Woolley, who we were talking about earlier, Make Watts Great Again, he's been trying to convince me to start a podcast. And I'm like, man, that would be such a cool way to just talk to interesting people.
Yeah.
Like you don't even need anybody to listen to get something out of it. You just get to talk to interesting people and have good conversations.
Like, I'm pretty sure at the end of this conversation, I'll be like, man, I know how to probably start a business if I wanted to. I don't know. Like, how did you even do this?
I can tell you how not to start a business.
Okay, tell us about how not.
So the origin story of O2 is a pretty good example of how not to start. And I say that jokingly, like there's not much I would do different, honestly. You know, the past several years with O2, but I would do everything different the second time around. So I was a first-time entrepreneur, and I didn't have any experience in the drink space or the startup space. You know, I was in corporate strategy for a Fortune 100 insurance company for 5 years. So I didn't know the first thing about starting a drink brand, but I did know there's probably going to be a lot that I got wrong at the outset, and there was. And so I decided to try and keep it like as small scale as I could to avoid making big mistakes on a bigger scale. And that meant that the first year or so, it was just me selling O2 out of the back of my car to anyone who would buy it, you know?
No way.
Yeah, that's unfortunately a true story. In fact, there's a post on our Instagram, I think from Friday, of me and my co-founder, who's a medical doctor, with, you know, we both look so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed from the first year. It's like the first month or two of the business's operations is when this picture was taken, when we both have our cars full of O2. I can't remember where we were going with it all, but, you know, we were doing something with it. And over the years that followed, that bright-eyed and bushy-tailed look just gets beaten out of you after mistake.
Oh yeah.
Mistake.
Sounds like the Army.
It probably some stuff in common. But I think what we did really well at the outset are two things. And those two things have shown themselves on a much larger scale, you know, in the past 2 years. Number one, we got the liquid formulation right. Like we nailed that product from the outset. Most people who drink O2 love it. And that's always been the case. We've just gotten a really, really positive response from the drink, you know, from day one. The second thing that we got right is we've always been a very values-oriented and mission-driven company. And so we rally behind doing the right thing, especially when it's hard. Everything else I screwed up. Like the packaging has changed and is changing again. The branding's changed. The route to market, I've gone through like 3 different routes to market, you know, and so you make these moves knowing that many of them are going to fail, but you'll learn something from them. And if you learn something, reapply it and get better next time, chances are over time, you'll find yourself in a position where most of the stuff that you do doesn't fail. In fact, it works. And that was largely the experience with O2.
The things that I've learned is that, like, I've tried a couple of different like business ideas and things, and they're still sticking around, but I learned that it doesn't happen instantly. Like it's not right away.
No.
You know, it's like 4, 5, 10
Right.
years, you know, you see this big growth from like
The 10-year overnight success story.
I wish like that's what I tell myself in my head. I go, I'm an overnight success. I'm doing great. And just so I can get up the next morning and be like, you know what? I can get up and go to work. I don't want to jump off a bridge. Jesus. Like, but I think it's the hardest part is just getting started, because you say you sold it out of the back of your truck or your car.
You get started and you keep going. You know, that's most people can get started. It's the hardest part is keep going, I think, because life beats you down, man. And being a small business owner beats you down, especially if you're in a competitive market where you're competing with a lot of others for, you know, share of stomach, as we call it, or mind share, like, you know, in the podcast space, you've got a ton of competition.
Oh yeah.
But as long as you keep going, you'll just kind of outlast the competition and get better over time. And that's how you succeed. Like I know a ton of founders of other, food and beverage brands, many of which are larger than O2, and none of them are a single night success. None of them.
Yeah.
And so like that's a myth. And if there is an overnight success, chances are 5,800 different things had to align, and that person was just right time, right place. Got lucky.
Yeah. Right time, right place, right uniform. It's funny. But if you like, what would you, or I guess not what would you, what makes O2 different though? I mean, I've had it a lot. My gym used to sell it and it's great. And my new gym does sell it as well, CrossFit Decimate down here, and it's good. But what do you think made you different?
There are a couple things. I mean, first and foremost, it just tastes really good.
Yeah, it does.
We got the taste profile, and that was also not an overnight success. That took about 9 months to really nail the taste of the drink. But if you're going to get something right, that's a good thing to get right at the outset. So number one, it tastes really good. Number two, the formulation is just clean and it works. We have twice the amount of electrolytes as Gatorade, but only 1 gram of sugar, and people love that. I had a guy who's local here in Boulder today. He's got, this big advertising marketing agency, and he and I were connected by a mutual friend. And, he sent me some of his stuff. I sent him some of our stuff, and he emailed me. He's like, dude, I just got back from this long run, and this stuff is freaking delicious. And I love that it only has 1 gram of sugar. I'm like, thanks, man. A lot of people, that's kind of the gist with O2. And then the last thing I would say, and I don't know how many people appreciate that or this part, but I certainly do, is O2 is a carbon neutral brand. It's not sold in a single-use plastic bottle that's just going to wind up in a landfill or the ocean. It's sold.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. So I'm proud of that.
You fucking hippie over there.
Dude, that's what I do. That's my job, is literally to make things renewable, like building envelopes, HVAC, heat pumps. Like I just,
Oh yeah. And a lot of people don't know this. This is a fun fact about aluminum. Something like 80% of aluminum in circulation today has been in circulation for the past 100 years. It's just
recycled
over and over and over and over and over again.
Oh, good for aluminum, man.
I know, right? There's a win for aluminum.
Somebody had to do it for him, because sure wasn't me.
Well done, aluminum. Thank you.
I will say I have not had the genuine pleasure of trying an O2 yet. Dude, I don't know. It sounds to me like you're just trying to keep it away from me. Everywhere I go, you're not. So.
I thought you were going to be like, well, I've been stationed abroad, and I'm.
No, I mean, I was in Colorado for the last 3 years, up until last June, and then I think I've only seen, from where I shop, I think I've only seen O2 a couple of times, and then, well, I don't know. I'm probably just lazy on the other half that I haven't gone out and bought some. So,
well,
I've not had the genuine pleasure yet.
Luckily, I know a guy, and we can.
Oh,
wait, he knows a guy.
I know a guy too.
Wait, who's your guy? Maybe it's the same guy.
I know this guy. His name's Dave.
Oh, okay.
He's supposed to have a real in with this company.
Yeah.
See, Ken, these are the kind of dudes that I do want to partner with, because these people are genuine, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah, they actually get back to us.
I just looked up the oh my God, don't get me fucking started on this podcast with that. But I did look up their Instagram. I just
started. What's the story?
Well, first, let me just say, I looked up the picture of you selling O2 out of your car.
Yeah.
What kind of suspension did you have on that car? Because that's a lot of cans.
That's a lot of cans.
That's some fucking weight. You're towing some fat bitches worth of cans.
That was a 2013 Toyota Prius C.
Oh my God.
I just recently got rid of. Bless its heart.
But the gas mileage wasn't enough?
The gas phone. That's a separate discussion. But I'll tell you, I can tell you exactly how many cases of O2 fit in a 2013 Toyota Prius C, and it is 60 cases of O2.
Oh,
Jesus.
Cases.
That's some shit right there.
Jesus.
Yeah, so that was
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
No comment.
As long as it keeps recording, that's fine.
It's not gonna ever stop recording.
Did you ever go buy a truck instead?
I do have a truck now. Yeah, I do have a truck.
Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause.
Ironically, I'm no longer delivering O2. So I don't know.
Oh, so now you want the truck.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how many cases to put in the truck, but probably more than 60 is my guess.
Oh, that would be.
But
Not the only person on this podcast that needs a truck.
Where do you live now, Stephen? So where are you based that doesn't have O2 apparently?
Currently, I am at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio.
Okay.
I would say it's not that I know for a fact that O2 isn't around here. I have not found it yet. So there's a difference. I don't want to say the O2 is like, hey, they hate San Antonio. They don't like us military guys. We don't want that to happen.
Texas is actually our number 2 state.
Really,
Wait,
Texas?
Really?
Oh yeah, I know for a fact. There's plenty of
Texas does have some pretty loose, I don't want to say laws, or restrictions, but if you create a drink, you can normally find the ability to sell it in Texas pretty easily.
I like to think it's our number 2 state for more than the reasons it's just easy to get into.
Oh yeah, I mean, duh. But I'm just saying, I know that it is a good state if you are somebody who's trying to open up like a drink business. It's friendly.
It's a lot of people in Texas, and it's always hot in Texas, which is a great thing.
I got my car washed before I came home to do this, and I specifically got the VIP membership now, so that there's covered, like a huge awning cover area with like the vacuums, and they give you all the extra stuff to clean your car. But I was like, I can't do the vacuuming out in the sun anymore. I can't. It's bad.
148 degrees in Texas today or something.
I think it's like it's supposed to be 101 today. But luckily, like, we had the day off. Celebrating Juneteenth yesterday. Yeah. Today, the Army gets another holiday. We get to.
I'm making ribs today.
Oh.
No, O2 actually has Juneteenth off, and you guys are making work on Juneteenth. So thank you very much.
Well, you're making us work, actually.
Yeah, but if you hire me, then I'll be working on Juneteenth.
So you can just hire both of us and just sponsor the podcast, and then
marketing vice president of O2 will be to ensure nobody works on Juneteenth.
I swear to God, if you hire me, Dave, I'll cry on camera.
Motion to hire Ken.
Well, I think the first thing we need is an engineering position open at O2, because I don't know, man. Engineers don't historically make it for good marketers. No offense.
I have 4 degrees, Dave. I have 4 degrees.
Yeah.
I have a master's in security studies and minor statistics, mechanical engineering, political science, counterintelligence.
Oh my God! So how long were you in school? Like 20 years?
12.
Damn.
Yeah.
He's a pretty smart cookie.
Yeah. Where are you from, Colorado, or where'd you grow up?
No, I grew up on a pig farm
Here
in Tennessee.
We go.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh
my God.
This story gets told once every 2 podcasts.
Okay, let's hear it. Sorry, audience.
Do you want to hear about his like 405 snatch or his like 500-pound clean and jerk?
Yes, all of
that makes the other
perfect
rounds here.
Well,
let's knock them all off.
Dave has to just go to my Instagram and you can see all those things. I can clean 415 pounds. I can snatch 295. Grew up on a pig farm. Like literally everyone that was in the community was related to me. So I couldn't do anything fucked up and get away with it.
No.
they would find me.
I was going to say, I thought you were going somewhere else with that Tennessee story.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, that was like, so it's funny. I was in college and I was doing an internship for FedEx, and I had written some script for them to improve their packaging, to like save them so many millions or billions of dollars. I didn't understand at that point, being 19, 20 years old, how much that idea was valued at. It was me and another guy from Nigeria. And we wrote this and we're like, hey, look at this thing that we built. And we gave them the code, and they were like, oh, okay, this is ours now. And we're like, what? Yeah, the intellectual property. Like, we signed an NDA essentially when we first started the internship, that if we came up with any ideas, it was them. Saved them, like, they still use a packaging algorithm today. Saves them like close to $1 billion a year. It's ridiculous. And then I was like, you know what, this is stupid. And I was working 2 jobs, playing basketball, had just had my son. And I was like, well, gonna have to join the army.
God, you could have used that fucking money.
Screwed me, so gotta join the army now.
Yeah, I was like, you know what?
Oh.
These people have to be more honest than the people that I just work for at FedEx.
Have you found that to be true? I hope.
Nope.
Nope. No, not even close.
Oh,
Bummer.
Dave, let me ask you, how much do you really believe the government when they tell you things nowadays?
Yeah, really.
I'm gonna have to pay attention, man.
Yeah, I just listen to Joe Rogan and I get my news from there most of the time, and I Google everything every once in a while, and I go, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I was earlier, I was going to tell you the story about a potential, what Ken had said, and I said, don't get me started on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was going to tell you, well, I wasn't going to mention them by name, but Ken,
I don't care.
There you go, buddy.
I don't care.
Until they start sending us actual like emails that have capital I's in them. I can't stand anybody who writes a professional email and all of the I are all lowercase. I can't take you seriously with that.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I mean, they've mentioned being a sponsor of ours before, and then they kind of ditched us a little bit. And then they recently, I guess, came back to Ken and finally answered like 3-month-old emails, and they gave us an offer on the table. And I was kind of like, I don't think it doesn't help grow the podcast in that sense. It's low
company by chance.
This is Gooder, the sunglass company that's also a official sponsor, I guess, of the Noble CrossFit Games this year.
So
we'll see. Known to us, if you're doing that tends to cost you a little bit of money.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say I don't appreciate the offer they gave, right? It's more money than what I currently have in my pocket. So therefore I'm getting paid to do something. But if people listen to these episodes, the people who I know listen to us give us good feedback. They give us good compliments. They say that it's fun to listen to Ken and I banter back and forth, that we have a good connection. And I think it's worth more than what they offered. And it kind of made it seem like it was, hey, if we can get a couple of sponsorship deals out to a couple of like smaller podcasts, like it's better than just paying one big time podcast a shit ton of money one time, and then we're out of the cash. So
exactly.
If we believe in ourselves, which Ken and I do, I think we're worth a little bit more than that. So we're not hunting for sponsorships, but I would prefer to have a title sponsor that's willing to pay.
I'm gonna put the amount out there. If you pay us $1,500 a month to like run all your ads, we'll do you exclusively. And then like they had brought up this idea of like, oh, we would be interested in sending your podcast like on the road to go to like the CrossFit Games and hold a podcast, interview people. I was like, that's easy. I know every fucking body. I can do that. That's easy.
Ken is not exaggerating when he says he knows everybody. We've had an in or a connection to everybody that we've had on this podcast in one way or another. And we've gotten so many more connections just by the people that we've had on it.
Oh yeah, sure. You guys have had some great names on the podcast.
Honestly, we have, and they've all been like, even talking with Matt, like we talked CrossFit for like maybe 10 minutes out of like a 2-hour podcast. Yeah. And so I think genuinely, like Ken said, 1,500. I said, if you want us like completely exclusively, you want to be the title sponsor, you want nobody else to be read, $2K and easily, because that gets us backstage, or I don't want to say backstage, behind the scenes equipment that can get us cameras, that can get us microphones, headphones that are all designed to make this better quality. And then on top of that, if you're a games level sponsor,
you got some money. You got a little bit of money.
maybe that's where all their money went, was to the games.
No. I like how you said that, because I was in a business meeting with TYR about an athlete that we manage the other day, and they were like, we just spent a lot of our like Q3 on the games. And I was like, I get that, and then the guy I was talking to was like, so this is what we can do right now for this athlete, and then we can revisit it, or we will guarantee this person a substantial contract in Q1 or beginning of Q4, which would be October. So I was like, that's understandable, but a nice piece of paper that says that at Q4 or Q1 of next year we will be your sponsor is just as good to me.
It's understandable,
because it's.
I learned a long time ago that even if it's on a napkin, if you get somebody's signature, it's better to have something in writing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The Army taught me that one pretty quick. Is if you can get somebody to sign something, you're in good hands.
Here's the best thing you guys can have, and I'll just give this to you from the perspective of, business owner. Every business, whether it's Gooder or Innovate or O2, every business is struggling with the cost to acquire customers, because the cost of everything right now is going up. It's a lot, right? Through the roof, and including the cost to acquire customers. So if you can, and I've done podcast advertising like once or twice, and that was haphazard and it wasn't well thought out, and surprise, it didn't go too well as a result. But if you can show somehow, like get a case study that shows, okay, we partnered with this brand, and
I've already done that.
Perfect. Because if it's a reasonable customer acquisition cost, people should be like, all right, yeah, I get it.
Yep.
I'll pay $2,000, and as a result of that, I'm going to acquire 200 customers, and that's $10. Great, I'm in.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like I did that. I made these decks and I showed because that's all I do is do data. I can do fucking statistics. It's not very hard at all. Like it's really easy to put together a spreadsheet, then take that spreadsheet, put it into PowerPoint. I did that, and I showed the amount of growth we had over the beginning of our podcast, and then I showed the amount of growth that the businesses that we've mentioned or even put in our description have gotten, because I've gotten all their analytics from them.
Directly attributable to the podcast?
Yeah, directly related to the podcast, because we shouted them out. I, paid for barbells to be given away at the gym, and that helped boost a few things for them. And like, hey, I'm giving you information and data I can't ask to do anymore. In all honesty, it costs $100. What we asked for is, in the beginning, it was like $50 for a beginning of show ad read. Now it's $125 for a beginning of show ad read, and then a end one is $75. It's not expensive for a company to do, and we do 2 shows a week.
Right.
Yeah, it pays for itself.
Send me the deck. I'll take a look at it as maybe a prospective sponsor, but at least as a another set of eyes, because it's like, if you can just take the subjectivity out of it. I don't know if 2,000 is a lot or a little for a podcast. But I know a $10 customer acquisition cost would be pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
I know from listening, who's it? Tom Segura, if either one of you guys know who that is. He does Two Bears, One Cave with Bert Kreischer, their podcast. He charges $20,000 an ad read. That's per ace of O2. Try it, and then in the middle of the show be able to do like a review. That would be something big to do. Like Gooder, they sent us a couple of sunglasses, or Ken sent me a couple at least, and I read the shit out of those ads. I probably said a bunch of stuff that people were like, wow, that's crazy and way off the charts for somebody to be saying on a podcast. But fuck it, I'll buy one pair. It's $25. We'll see what the hype is about.
I do like stuff, and I like that idea too, because then it's like, oh man, these guys talked about O2 on the podcast, and all of a sudden our sales shot up. Like that was like a free trial for me. It's like, okay,
exactly.
Now it's a no-brainer. So de-risk it for brands as much as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, like we have a couple, like Modballs is one of our good buddies now, and we had them on, and like they're supporting the Warrior WOD workout that's happening at my gym this upcoming weekend, and at plenty of other gyms across the state or across the country. But they were perfectly content with just saying like, hey, it's for the good of the cause. We'll send you guys some stuff. Just, put it out, give it out as prizes. I know HeroBarbell, they're I think one of the title sponsors for that event. So they're giving out a free barbell to the gym with the most athletes.
Awesome.
So of course, a company like Gooder, I just was like, well, put a fucking capital letter where it's supposed to be, and then either call me so I don't have to keep playing email telephone tag with you. But if you're going to do all that stuff and then give me, I don't want to say a lowball number again, something like $500 is still more money than most people make on a podcast, obviously. But if you're giving me a lowball number, ask, and you're not capitalizing the I in your fucking email.
Tell you, man,
you're not investing in the long-term process here. You're you're getting the quick ins and out.
One of those things bothers me for sure, and it's not the price. Like, who knows? Maybe all their money
It's
went
not
to
the grammar.
like that's possible. All right, CrossFit games are not cheap, but it is the grammar. I hate it when people don't take the time
to reread an email.
Yeah, because it shows me that, you know, if there's all kinds of grammatical issues or spelling typos or you know, a lowercase I when it should be capital, it shows me that they don't value my time or me enough to go back and proofread or write a professionally worded email. Like I probably sound like I'm 60 years old saying this, but that matters, man. Because it's,
I mean, if you have my phone number and you are sending me like a quick text,
sure, it's
totally different.
It's a different medium, you know.
Even if it's like a business text and it's like, hey, I'll call you when I get home, and the I is lowercase, cool. But an email is now different.
Yes, I agree, and that I think how you show up in an email is how you can probably expect the person to show up on other stuff, right? So that's my.
Ken, I'm glad that Ken name dropped them, so I didn't have to. But
she's dreaming.
Not that I normally wouldn't.
I like Gooder stuff a lot personally. I mean, I did my first Spartan race 2 weeks ago.
Ooh, here we go.
I saw that picture.
That was good, man. It was fun, but it was tough, and it was in Fort Collins, and it was 97 degrees outside. It was at elevations, pretty close to the sun, and it was in a cloud in the sky. And I'm like, I'm gonna need some sunglasses. And so I brought a pair of Gooder because they stick to your face. And I'm telling you, man, like through the obstacles, through the trail run, those did not move, and that was awesome.
Yeah. That was one of our selling points, was the resiliency of the sunglasses and non-slip portion of the product.
Yeah,
and they were really good. I still I would sponsor them.
Cheap as hell. You know, if you lose them, you don't have to feel bad, but they look cool enough that they don't look like cheap stuff. You know what I mean?
And you can give plenty of them. Like even college students can afford $25. It's nobody's breaking the bank. You're not asking me to buy a pair of Ray-Bans. And you sure as shit not giving me some Nike $300 a pair sunglasses. So
but look at the irony here. They didn't even pay anything for the sponsorship, and we just like plugged them pretty good.
Yeah, we just had a whole conversation about them.
Yeah, we've done that before. All right, let's get back to plugging O2 though.
Exactly. Yeah. How did you guys pick Sophie Shaft? That's what I want to ask. How did that work out?
You know,
because I have a couple athletes to send your way.
I feel bad saying this. I don't know how that unfolded. I'm not as close to the athlete partnerships as I used to be. So some of those athlete partnerships, you know, like James Hobart, for example, we've worked with James forever. And I met James when we were, you know, I brought my photographer down to Cookeville, Tennessee, because we were starting to work with Matt Hewitt, and Matt and James were on Rich's team. And I knew of James because I'd done my first L1 a few years prior to that. And he's like the L1 poster boy. And so with that, like that was a personal relationship that unfolded into a sponsorship. And now, you know, he's a longtime O2 athlete and a good friend. I don't know if I've ever talked to Sophie. I know that she's great, and I know the team thinks super highly of her. But I don't have any insight into how that unfolded, honestly.
Oh, wow. That's no way you don't. Oh man, that was the opposite of what I was expecting.
I know that's super not exciting too, but I will say what's super exciting for me is I don't have to anymore. Like I have a team now, and that wasn't the case in the first few years. You know, that's part of the other reason why all athlete relationships were funneled through me. But now, you know, my team member who manages our athlete relationships, Brittany, she's amazing. And I don't have to question anything when she's talking to somebody or makes a suggestion on who we should partner with. And she's been with me for 5 years, so she knows the brand better than anyone. Yeah. And Sophie was one of hers, and I'm sure Sophie's great as a result of that.
So let's talk about the brand real quick. How did you come up with O2? Let's start there.
As a brand or the product?
Just like the name, like the
name. Yeah. The name came from the product. O2, for, you know, just take everybody back to high school chemistry, is the periodic table for oxygen. And so one of the things that makes our product O2, the drink, unique is that it's injected with oxygen. And it as a result of that, it has about 7 times the oxygen content as normal water. And
Oh,
not many people realize that. Most people just think it's brand name, but it's high, and it's highly oxygenated water. And the reason that's important is because that's been shown over and over and over again in all kinds of medical studies to help your body process toxins faster and recover faster. Now that's a mouthful. And so we don't even talk about O2 and the oxygen much anymore because most people don't care. You know, most people just like O2 because it tastes good, it's low sugar, and it's got a ton of electrolytes. But the brand name came from the element, and that's because it's highly oxygenated water.
I didn't want to come off as like silly because I was like,
I
it
think
is
that-
H2O for water, right? So then I was wondering where the O2 came from.
Yeah.
And then do you guys have different flavors for those people who haven't
Yeah.
experienced? Can you
For
just
the-
give like a
for the
rundown of like
people-
what kind of products?
For the people like you, Stephen, hopefully there aren't many who haven't tried it too yet.
There's not very many people like me. Let me be honest.
We have 4 flavors, and 2 of them have caffeine and 2 of them don't. The ones with caffeine are orange mango and grapefruit ginger, and the ones without caffeine are lemon lime and blackberry currant. And
Favorite was lemon.
lemon lime's awesome, man. We're gonna have so as part of our games presence, we have the O2 Lounge, which is the beer garden, and then we are also making custom O2 mixed drinks that are going to be available at all the bars on site at the games. And one of those drinks is an O2 Rita that's made with lemon lime O2, and it is
Oh
awesome.
shit.
It's
Are you
no
gonna be
joke.
there, Dave?
Fuck yeah, I'll be there. Of
Oh
course.
yeah, I'm gonna be there too. It's gonna be
Let's
great.
hang, man. We'll have an O2 Rita together. It'd be great.
That might have been one of the dumbest questions you've ever asked on this podcast.
I don't know. Some people are like, oh, the founder or the CEO.
Yeah, I mean,
No, dude.
Is the owner of the official sponsor of the games going to be at the games?
Hell yeah. And
You know-
and there are probably companies where that person won't be at the games, and shame on them.
Well, that'll definitely be the case for the army. I don't think
Yeah,
anybody that high up for the army is going to that. They probably don't even know that they're spending money on
Point
that.
Chiefs will be at the game.
If General Millie's at the game, I'll be shocked.
I'll look at it and go, yeah, fuck that guy. He
Uh,
made my life real hard, real hard for no reason. But no,
Don't worry,
like,
they'll still fly a plane over and
so
Mm,
I'm
he's down there.
I'm very well read and like kind of like how the chemistry of things goes, how
Yeah.
you get ingredients for your product.
Mhm.
So I know that a lot of products can get contaminated with other shit that athletes aren't supposed to have. That's just the nature of the beast. Like how do you mitigate against that? Like what is your purity process?
We don't put anything remotely controversial in our drink. Our product it's water, it's oxygen, it's natural flavors, natural sweeteners, sodium and potassium. And then two drinks have caffeine, 2 don't. And that's it. It's 10 ingredients. And there's nothing you've never heard of on the ingredient list.
And
So-
how Oh, go ahead. No. Keep going, Dave. Sorry.
The other thing I was going to say is we're not a supplement. So there's no vitamins, there's no supplements in O2, no BCAAs or any of that. And not a knock against those things. But most people who drink O2 are already taking those things as pills or powders and don't need them in a drink. So I don't know too much about the process of making a supplement beverage versus making like a normal beverage like O2 is. But I know enough about manufacturing to know that you have to have your processes airtight.
Mhm.
And generally that's in a partnership with an airtight production company. And so O2's never had anything remotely resembling a purity issue because we run a tight ship at O2 and so do our production partners.
Good. Do you guys import anything at all, any ingredients or no?
Yeah, are you guys having any supply chains issues?
Yeah. Are you?
What supply chain issues aren't we having? But we've thankfully been able to manage them mostly without disruption. I think the only thing we import is probably monk fruit, and monk fruit is exclusive to China. And I don't know the full backstory there, but I know China's tried really hard to make sure that monk fruit is exclusive to China. So we import monk fruit. But I think that's probably it.
Okay. What was I just gonna ask? Damn,
Think about it, Steve. Think it through. Think it through.
son of a
Dave,
bagel.
Dave's
We
turns
got
are getting
8
scored.
minutes left. You got
Yeah, we got 8
it.
minutes.
He's God. He
Yeah.
has the timer
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, we only have 45 minutes. What am I told?
All right, let's what? Hey, you know what? I've been on the go a lot. Let me ask this question. So, where in the next 5 years, every business has a pretty good business plan. You're always trying to anticipate where you're going.
Yep.
Next 5 years, now that we've seen over the last year, economy shift, supply chain issues, etc. Have your goals had to shift?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And like, where exactly are those goals? Where do they lie?
The near-term goals have changed, and I think every business owner would probably tell you the same thing. In fact, I was just joking with a friend who's been in the space for a long, long time that businesses are no longer doing annual plans. Businesses are doing like quarterly plans, 6 months at most, because the world shifts so quickly now.
Yeah.
So our near-term goals have moved around, but long-term hasn't really moved around at all. Long-term, the goal is for O2 to effectively become like the Patagonia of hydration, to be a brand that's globally recognized for not only its great quality products, but also, the positive impact that it has on its communities. So to get there, to be a globally recognized brand, you probably got to be around 100 million or more in revenue. And that's where we want to be, in the next 7 years. And we do a lot of stuff that I'm really proud of that has nothing to do with the great drinks we make, such as like today, we're doing something with Easy Muhammad for Juneteenth. He's an O2 athlete. He's got a great organization that we support called Project Onyx, which provides fitness and mentorship to underprivileged youth. And we get to use our platform as a brand to help him push out what he's doing because we believe in it and its positive impact. So that's our long-term goal, and that hasn't changed at all.
And if this guy replies to our emails for our slide deck before Gooder does,
I swear to God,
I'm going to take a dump on a pair of Gooders and then I'm going to send it to him.
And then they're going to make a pattern out of the poop.
Good. I hope they fucking do.
They do crazy stuff like that, dude.
I hope they do.
So what are you doing next? Like what new flavors coming out, Dave?
Dude, man, with all the production challenges, and I don't even want to think about new flavors. I'm just trying to keep my ones in stock, honestly.
Pina colada should be the next one.
Yeah.
I bet we could make a damn good pina colada. That would not surprise me at all. But we've got our eyes set on, actually, we're going to bring back a product line that has been out of stock forever, again, due to, supply chain issues, et cetera, which is a hydration mix. So think like liquid IV, but ours actually tastes great. It's not only is it tolerable, but it's something you would actually want to drink. So we'll bring that back probably right after the CrossFit Games. And then we're just going to focus on the space that we know best, which is, the fitness space, particularly the CrossFit space. I think there's a ton of growth that we can continue to have in that market. We're probably in half the CrossFit gyms in the United States today. I want to be in like all of them or close to all of them. And I think there's a ton of potential outside the US too, particularly when you look at, Europe and some countries that share a similar profile to the United States, Canada, well, yeah. Like it would not be a low lift effort to, go from a continental US business to a global business, but pay off. So that's another thing that we've got our eyes on.
What have you?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of shifting a little bit. I've been trying to get on the Forging Youth Resilience train for a minute now, and I'm like, Dave will eventually respond to my email.
I'm here.
Dave is now right here, and he's recording it. I'm recording it right now. What can we do to help you, or what can I do to help you? What can we do?
I think the biggest thing that the organization needs is just more people knowing about it. I mean, it's not a tough sell. It's one of those things where once you know what it is, it's like, oh man, what can I do to help? And that's an organization that's been around for a while. Recently went through a rebrand. Used to be called Steve's Club. Now it's called Forging Youth Resilience. And just like Project Onyx, it shares a similar mission in providing, fitness and mentorship to underprivileged youth. And so we've got 25 or so chapters across the United States that are often hosted inside CrossFit gyms. and basically free CrossFit for kids who couldn't otherwise afford it. And I got involved formally this year is when I joined the board. The past couple of years I've been a supporter with O2, but last year went to this camp that's held every year in Colorado for like it's for like the overachievers of the group. So the leadership camp. And these kids, man, I mean, they tell you the same thing over and over again, which is like, yeah, just having the ability to do CrossFit and make friends and, you know, get myself ingrained in this changed my life. You know, it's set me straight, put me on the right course, and now I'm going to college. And I'm the first one in my family to ever go to college. And it's like stuff like that. That just feels so awesome.
Oh, you too? Holy crap.
You know what?
Then I'm going to own a business too. Oh my God, I can feel it. I can feel it.
That's the best part about owning a business is you get to do cool shit that's better than just, you know, products you make, services you offer.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to go through the hard part first before you get to that part.
You always got to. I mean, we were not able to do anything remotely resembling some of the stuff that we do today because for the first 5 years, I was just trying to keep the lights on. You know? And
Very true.
Past that stage, but it's worth it once you do.
Well, I think Ken was onto something. I mean, I think we would love to help. One of the parts of this podcast is just getting the word of good things going to good people. It sounds as cliche as it comes, but it is the point that we started this for. So if we can help you guys do that, shit, man, we'll put it in the slide deck. If you guys want to jump on as a sponsor for us with O2, then we'll just throw those guys on for free.
And it's just piggyback. It's
There you go. Just
like a bill.
Or if you want to just send us an ad read, not that I think that there's like a real advertisement for that, but just like an awareness read.
Great. Hell yeah.
Send it to us. Yeah. We can do it just about every podcast. Again, I have no problem kicking a couple of these guys off our link tree. We have to. But I mean, the good organizations are the ones that we want to support. Project Onyx, we talked about. Ken, I think after talking to Leo and now Dave, I think Easy probably should be one of our next guys.
Yeah, I'll call it. I
was going to say I'll set that up, but
yeah, I mean you can do it. No, you do it, Dave. He'll answer you quicker.
We'll both do it.
Okay, we'll both do it.
You guys are like your own little thing going on. You guys are a little meet cute going on over here.
He lives like in all logistics purposes, he lives down the street from me more like with.
Where does he live?
Next time we're in Boulder, man, you gotta look me up.
Dude,
you're up in Boulder.
I go up on Thursdays to Golden to go to my site.
Nice.
I will leave work early to come have lunch with you.
Oh hell yeah!
Hey, trust me, he's not doing that much at that office.
I'm not. Yeah, I am. I'm dying. My portfolio is $80 million. I hate you.
Good Jesus.
I gotta run now, man. This is a ton of fun. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, man, we appreciate having you on. I know Ken set this up, so thank you, Ken, for doing all this. We will most definitely stay in contact with you. We'll stay in contact over the projects and everything else we got going on. Good luck at the games. Not that you really need luck. You're a sponsor there. Hopefully, you guys get a whole bunch of business.
Yeah.
And then we'll be in touch, man.
Steve, send me your address.
And
send me your son. We'll arrange lunch and I'll ship you some O2, Steven, since you haven't had it before.
Oh yeah. No, see, there you go, Stacey. That's how things happen for me all the time.
But see, from now on, I was telling him I think we need to do this ahead of time so that way we can give an honest review and feedback on a podcast.
Because now it's like, yeah, that ship has sailed.
Not that we want to just go out looking for free shit, but it's like, hey, if we're gonna have a huge like sponsor, like if we were to have Noble on, hey, let me get a pair of Nobles in here. Right. I'll critique it. I'll give you all that data and analytics from Ken, and then there you go. You get a podcast, you get analytics, and you get an opinion.
My new Reeboks just came in. They sent me like 4 pair of shoes. It's so great.
We're not talking about them. No free shout outs.
All right, take it easy, Dave.
See you later, Dave.
Bye.